Hello, all of you vaingloriously wonderful people. This is the Canis Seminole Frontier, and I'm about to find out if it'll off-road. This is our third week of Will It Off-Road being back, and we still have several weeks to go. Next week, you're going to see a muscle car and a sports car. Week after that, some wheelers. Week after that, a low rider or two. And then the week after that, the next 2 weeks, pretty much what's left over. And then we'll take the two fastest and the two slowest and race them. It'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, we've got quite a bit of Will It Off-Road still to go. That takes us all the way through like October 19th, I think, is what it works out to. So yeah, we're going to have lots of Will It Off-Road. Then we'll go on a little break, and then it'll probably come right back for a DLC that comes out in November or December. So pretty good times there. The Canis Seminole Frontier, the Seminole Frontier, or just the Frontier, whichever you'd like to call it. I don't know, don't really care. It's competent off-roads, all-wheel drive. As you've already seen a couple times, it is given to a tendency to want to roll over if you're not careful. It does have a lot of body roll in there. And of course, a lot of the weight is up top. One of the really cool things, and you'll really see it in action more, is just how detailed the suspension on this car is. I don't know how much of what is animated actually goes into how it's handling, or into how it handles, but it's really cool just to see it in action, quite honestly. It's not a particularly fast SUV, and this is in the SUVs class, not the off-roads. But it doesn't really need to be all that fast to be a competent off-roader, and this was pretty effortless. I mean, yeah, it spins out every once in a while. But as far as grip, no issues whatsoever. It just climbs. It has all the grip that it needs. It claws in, and it just keeps going right up the mountain. I think that even the last little bit on the rocks was pretty drama-free. I can't remember if there was any drama happening behind me or not. I don't think so. Well, maybe, because there's one dot that's kind of far back, so somebody might have tried to take a bit of a shortcut and had issues. The nice thing is with its ground clearance, it doesn't get slowed down as badly by the bushes. That's haunted us now for about the past 2 years, that bushes and things will slow you down and even spin you out. We'll see that come into play a lot with the next car. But we're clearing up here, or we're clearing the mountain away and getting up here to the top, clearing the mountain away. Is that really what I would say there? Probably not. Yeah, look, it just climbs right up this side. Just no struggle, no drama, no fuss. And we're up 2 minutes, 48 seconds. So will the Seminole Frontier off-road? Yeah, of course it will. Even has the mock trail rated badge on the side as if it were really a Jeep. I don't know what that says on the side. I'm sure it's some GTA joke making fun of trail rated. But anyway, parody. There's the word I'm looking for. My brain's just not braining very brainly today. Always got to be careful coming down that little bit, no matter what car you're in, but especially in cars with the highest center of gravity. One of the things that I like about this SUV, and it's true for most of the cars that came out in this DLC, is just the high level of customization that's available. I set mine up with the typical 80s brown and wood paneling and all that. But you can make them look like anything you want with the different liveries, all the different upgrade options. There's just a ton of things that you can do with them. About the only car that's not really true for are the two lowriders. They don't really get a whole lot of extra stuff. And then, of course, the new Landstalker. The new Landstalker has a disappointing number of features. And a really crap interior for what it's supposed to be. I mean, it's supposed to be taking on, like, the modern Lincoln, which the modern Lincoln is, a $100,000 SUV. Oh, there's that high center of gravity. Kind of biting me a little bit. It looks like I lost a body part there. Maybe part of the front bumper. I'm not really sure. Sven coming up and around, shedding body parts as well. And please pardon the occasional sniffle. I was outside today, so of course my allergies are in full swing. Outside and I don't get along. Little bouncy on the landings. The brakes are adequate and nearly not adequate enough, as I almost went off the side there. But things are going to get, yeah, a little rough here. There we go. Yep. Issues. Issues are being had. And that just goes to the bouncy landings coupled with the high center of gravity. It looks like somebody followed right behind me there. But it recovers well and just keeps right on going. So, you know, that not too bad. You just gotta be careful with it. And of course, if I had been going slower, probably all of this wouldn't have happened. But here we go again. Brakes, not the best. And that's one of the things that keeps coming into play with this SUV is that your sense of speed versus what the brakes are capable of don't match. There is no sense of speed. It's not fast. So you would think it wouldn't have as much trouble as it does with braking, but here we are. Back down on the asphalt though, and it does fine down here. Lots and lots of body roll, but nothing to worry too terribly about. And we're down as we kind of fishtail a little bit. 2 minutes, 54 seconds. So we're going to head back up to the top of the mountain where somebody rear-ended me as we were coming up and busted out my rear window. And to take a very rainy damage descent. And we'll get to see the underside of this here and actually just see like the control arms and the struts and just all the different bits of the suspension. I think those are control arms. But all the different bits of the suspension in play that all articulate, that all animate, and it's just it kind of adds a bit to the experience of off-roading to get to see all that moving around. Actually taking some body damage as well. Pretty rare on newer DLC cars. I've talked about it a lot. Them to have much of a damage model at all, but it seems like maybe they're starting to get back towards smaller amounts of body damage, not near like what the game had when it initially launched, the cars that it launched with. And definitely not the levels that we saw in GTA 4. Oh, got shoved by Sven and his Camacho. And then somebody else hit me. I'm not sure what he's driving, a Hellion maybe. But there are just as Commander Hobo would say, a garage sale of body parts sailing down this mountain. And by the way, yes, your collected vehicle cargo stays on the screen the entire time we were recording. Even across two different characters. Because the two cars were recording that we recorded that day were on two different characters, and it just constantly said you collected vehicle cargo because I had to do vehicle cargo as one of my daily objectives. Rear bumper hanging on for dear life, trying to get the woodpile cleared, failed and rolled, knocked off my hood finally. But we are down, very soggy as the jet goes by. 1 minute 51 seconds. So let's take a look at the damage on the Seminole Frontier. All the windows and most of the lights are gone, all but one of the door missing. The hood is gone. The rear bumper is damaged. It does have bent wheels and some slight body damage as well. And of course, we will now take a peek over at the support vehicles, see how they fared. And it looks like Sven has a bit of smoke coming out of that Camacho. Not sure where the jet went for that shot, but it managed just to get back in here. But that's going to bring us to our next vehicle, the Maibatsu Penumbra FF. And yes, sparing donkey left. Yes, he kept lagging out several times while recording. That was his zombie being shot down right there. Thank you, Sven, for taking care of that zombie. But yeah, donkey lagged out several times. We even restarted this run because he lagged out as we first started it, and then we're like, oh, we really want to see you struggle in that lifeguard Granger. So we all went back down, restarted, and as soon as I said, okay, here we go, sparing donkey left. So that's why we don't game on Wi-Fi, kids. It's a bad idea. Plug your gaming device into an Ethernet cable. Or plug an Ethernet cable into your gaming device. Probably a better way to say that. So, Penumbra. I have, since this video was recorded, I have changed its design because I just didn't like this design. I let chat in Twitch design this, and it's fine, but it's a little too much Fast and Furious for me, and I don't like having... I like having more original design, so it's now pink and white. And now it's also on its side. Probably could have given our #1 car a run for the money if that little rollover hadn't happened and these little spin outs hadn't happened. Like I said, every time you hit a bush, it gets hung up on it, and of course on that one back there, the front end slowed down, but since this is all-wheel drive, the back wheels just spun me right around. One of the things I hate about all these cars with camber is how the wheels constantly clip when it's on that lowered suspension. You want the lowest the lowest suspension setting with the most camber to get the most traction in corners, but the trade-off is just that really annoying. Like sometimes a quarter of the wheel is coming up through that fender, and it's just really obnoxious, and it kind of drives me crazy. I still prefer, for looks, the original Penumbra, though I do like this car, and I drive it quite a bit. Matter of fact, it's been the car that my second character's driven, I think, since I bought it. I don't think he's driven anything else. And now that it's been redesigned, I like it even more. Took off the massive wing as well. It's kind of more understated wing now. But yeah, the bushes are what's really holding this thing back. I really do think it could have given the Winnie Issy, the Winnie Issy Sport a run for the money if it hadn't been how this thing just slows down so bad every time it touches a bush. But we are up in 2 minutes, 31 seconds. So will the Penumbra FF off-road? Yeah, but it's not very pleasant. It gets a great time, but it's not very pleasant because of the bushes. That does make it the second sports car. Of course, 8 seconds slower than the Issy Sport. And like I said, if we didn't have that rollover and maybe some of those issues with bushes, it might have been able to get right down there next to the Issy Sport. I don't think it would have beat it, but it probably could have got close. But it does also make it the 6th overall fastest vehicle up the mountain that we've tested so far out of 279 vehicles. And going back to stats on the Seminole, it's now 3rd out of 13 SUVs that we've tested. It was, oops, I'm going off the side of the mountain, but watch this thing grip and go back up the side. And it was 8 seconds slower than the Rebla. So 8 seconds is our gap today. Look at that, it just drives right up the side, no issues. Hobo went off about the same place I did. He was laughing at me like, you went off the mountain, and then went off in the exact same place I did. So he quickly choked on that laughter. But the Seminole Frontier was also 54th overall out of 279 vehicles. Definitely due to the understeer you get with all-wheel drive vehicles in GTA. Experiencing some pretty bad understeer, making it a little bit difficult to go around some of these corners. Not too much of a challenge, but it's also, definitely not what I would pick for off-roading. It can do it, but obviously with its low ground clearance and the way it wants to roll over, not really a pleasant time at all. So don't pick the new sports car for off-roading. There's Donkey, flipping his sirens, so now he just has his sirens on. I think he leaves them on for the rest of this run, honestly. We should ban wee woos. I mean, they're fun for a little bit, but after a while, it's a bit much. Got a 1 level for taking a hiker, which makes things interesting to have a 1 level at the bottom of the mountain, because sometimes cops can appear and start shooting at me the second I'm down. So kind of keeping an eye on my mini-map as I was driving down. Coming back down, though, to our final few corners in the dirt. Things bouncing all around, kicking its tail end up. But we're coming up to the asphalt right now. And we're finally down where this thing belongs. And it does really well. I like driving this car. I like the way it corners. It pivots nicely when it's on asphalt. Still has a bit of understeer you have to deal with, but it's not too bad. But we're down in 2 minutes, 36 seconds, so we're going to take it back to the top of Mount Chiliad, where we're going to fling it off the ramp and go again. Hobo decided not to drive back up. And instead, he's going to just drop his car from the cargo mob and let it have its adventure in free fall mode. Decent landing, though, to start with. A lot of good mid-air control on this thing, but again, do you really want to off-road in a sports car? Unless it's the winningest sport, the answer to that question is no. And if you're hearing Discord in my phone ding, it's because people are telling me that it's time for daily objectives. And they're right, it is. I'm recording this in the middle of the day, and it's now time for us to do daily objectives. So, good thing I'm almost done recording the voiceover, isn't it? By the way, you can join us in our Will It Off-Road adventures, as well as other Vainglorious Community Plays videos, especially since I just got Fall Guys. By joining our Discord, we'd love to have you join. Even if you don't play on PC, you're more than welcome to join. We have an ever-growing community. I think we're getting close to 200 members now on Discord. So you can usually find people to play with, people to talk to. Have a lot of different categories of rooms for different games, different game styles, and even a couple other topics like trains, because we have a lot of train nuts in our Discord server, as I hiccup for like the third time in the past 10 seconds. Definitely struggling in this bumpy, muddy bit. Not gonna lie, this car just hasn't been fun to off-road. I love driving this car, but it's just not fun off-road. Well, I managed to land it on its roof, so well done me. And we're finally down 1 minute, 44 seconds. Let's take a look at the damage on the Penumbra FF. Headlights gone, most of the windows gone, right door hood, front bumper, missing the left fender, missing the door, and trunk won't close. It might have bent wheels, kind of hard to tell because it's already stanced, and there is some body damage as well, especially on that front end. Quite a bit, actually. And we'll take a look at our support vehicles. Donkey definitely fared the worst in that. God, those sirens. Yeah, Donkey, no more sirens for you. But that's going to do it for this week's Will It Off-Road. I hope you played along with Will It Off-Road Bingo. If you didn't, click the link in the description down below and watch the video all over again. And if you get bingo, be sure to leave that in the comments down below. So until next time, I'm Brandon, reminding you to stay vainglorious. Turn off those fucking sirens, Donkey.